AA is bullshit. NA is just AA with a longer intro. 12-step programs altogether are bullshit. They are just the meetings are absolutely useless. It's a place where you go and you listen to people, exaggerate their stories and talk about how it's so much better to not be drinking, and now that they've found a place in AA where they can truly feel at home and have all these other people that they can depend on. It's just bullshit, man. You can't depend on those people. You can't. I mean, alcoholics are just like anyone else. There are going to be good ones and bad ones. But if you go to a meeting full of people and they all have something similar that is a problem, then that problem is going to find its way into the meeting 100% of the time. I mean, every type of, you know, I've been in halfway houses, I've been in rehabs, and there's always people using in those places. There's always people having sex in those places. There's always people doing stuff that they're not supposed to be doing. There's always people that are going to find their way around the rules. And I don't want to completely shit on 12-step programs. Like, there is some validity to, the finding, like, a spiritual path or whatever through the steps and through the literature, like, the I like the big book. I mean, there's some good stuff in there, but I don't think that you need to sit down with someone and tell them about everyone that you ever fucked to get sober. I don't think that that's true. I think that you just need to make a decision that you're not gonna fucking drink anymore. I mean, it's really like, I mean, people say, it's not that easy. It's a disease, blah 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 blah, and it is a disease. Like, I'm not saying addiction isn't a problem. It's a problem, but the solution is not going and bitching about that problem. You have to get out of the problem. You have to get out of it. You have to find a completely new headspace. Like, I'm a heroin addict, or an ex-heroin addict, and I don't have a lot of friends. I stay, basically, I hang out with my brothers and my family, and that's a great life. I enjoy it. My brothers, I am very close with them. I enjoy their company. They're very, articulate, well-rounded individuals, and I'm lucky to have them in my life. So, I think if you can find something that is real and not just a bunch of alcoholics, that really don't care if you go out and relapse, because they'll still be there for you. They'll still be there for you. So it doesn't really matter if you fuck up. It doesn't matter if you slip. I mean, and then they'll tell you that it's not about long-term sobriety. It's about today. And that's a problem. I think that if you can't get if all of your aspirations have to do with today and staying sober today, then you're completely missing out on the rest of your life, and it's probably going to be pretty difficult for you if you have no foresight of the future whatsoever. And I mean, not that that's their philosophy, that you know you shouldn't have you shouldn't have steps in place for if something were to come up, because they tell you to call your sponsor, do all this, like read the big book, uh, pray, but really, at the end of the day, I have a great, my best friend is a Christian young man, and he has strong faith in Jesus and in, God and all this. And I would say he prays nonstop. He writes a blog that's basically a prayer. It starts out as a prayer every day. And he is still caught in the throes of addiction. He is still struggles with his alcoholism, and he still, has this problem. But, it, you know, it's not that he's tried to, I don't know. I don't want to speak for him from his experience because I'm not in his shoes, and I don't understand he's had a particularly hard life in different ways than I have. So we don't really share a lot of experiences, but I know that AA has not worked for him. And I know that I don't want to say that prayer hasn't worked for him, but it hasn't to the degree that he's been able to stop, and that is a problem because I think what a lot of people are missing is it takes that step from you. It takes that initiative. It takes action. It takes wanting to get out of that. Not wanting if you're constantly doing step work and you're constantly focusing on what a piece of shit you were and trying to change, that's good in the beginning. That's good to start out with. It's good to realize that you were a piece of shit and that you don't want to be that way anymore. But do you really want to live the rest of your life thinking about how you were a piece of shit 20 years ago? No. Nobody does. I don't think anybody does. But there are people that stay in the program and that lead meetings, weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings that have been in the program for 50 years. I've met them. There are people that have died in AA meetings. That is just like a sad existence. In a way, that's an addiction in itself. If you have to rely on something outside of yourself for happiness, that's an addiction, period. And I don't promote that. I don't think that 12 steps have really helped to fix any type of problem. It's not a solution, it's a band-aid. And band-aids are great to, get that wound to close up initially, but it always ends up cracking open again. And in my case, I relapsed several, I've relapsed many times. And it was a struggle for me to even want to be sober. I never wanted to be in myself. I wanted to be outside of my head. I didn't want to be in that closed space. But I think what helped me to get to that place, to want to be in myself, not necessarily into a closed space, but to want to be myself, was realizing that there were reasons for me to be here. There were people that love me, and I have things to offer to this world. I love people, and I genuinely, I would give you the shirt off my back. It's not like I'm like this great person or anything, because I'm a piece of shit. I still, I've done terrible things, and I will always, feel some remorse for that. But I'm not gonna stay like in that spot, because it's not helping anyone if I do. It doesn't help me to progress. It doesn't help the people that I hurt, because I'm still just in that same spot thinking about it and not doing anything to better the situation. So it's not productive, and it doesn't help. I think what helps the most is to realize that there are reasons to be here, and you don't want to be living that life. You don't want to be outside looking in. You want to be involved. and you want to be proactive in your life. You know, maybe you don't know. Maybe you are, uh, maybe you're a heroin addict and you are struggling with addiction and active addiction, and it's just, you have no real reason to live, you think. But I guarantee you, if you can get out of that headspace and if you can find something, everyone has something to contribute. No matter how small your contribution might be, it's a contribution, and every puzzle needs its pieces. Don't fucking be some piece of shit, fucking shooting up in a park somewhere. Like, become an addiction counselor or become a uh, fucking telemarketer. I don't give a shit. Just do something and make it worthwhile. I don't know. Well, yeah. So AA is bullshit. NA is just AA with a longer intro. And, I've heard some good stuff about smart recovery. There's not any smart recovery meetings in Nashville, but it's a program that is based on cognitive behavioral therapy and dialectical behavioral therapy, which there's some I've I learned quite a bit about these things in rehab, and I wouldn't say I was like a uh, you know I wouldn't say that I saw a cognitive behavioral therapist, or that I really like followed the steps um, just so you know so closely or anything like that. But I would say that I did pay attention to those classes, and that I did practice some of the principles of particularly dialectical behavioral therapy, and just doing things and getting out of your cycle of misery. Because when you're just, even if you're not doing drugs and you're a drug addict, the only other thing you're doing is like laying in bed or trying to scam up money or fucking going to score and waiting on some fucking dude for hours at a time, or whatever it is. It's just a shitty life, and you don't want to be doing that. And I don't want to say that I know your situation and I know better than you do about your life. But if you are in active addiction and you think that you have nothing to offer the world, I would have to disagree. I think that everyone has something to offer, even if it's, you know, I'm not even gonna say that on YouTube, but even if it's something that's not necessarily productive, and it still is, an important piece of the puzzle. We have to have every little piece. We can't just keep throwing out dimes to the fucking wind because Johnny wants to fucking shoot up some elephant tranquilizer. It's just, it's sad, and it speaks to the decline of our nation and our, just mental well-being. It's sickening just to watch my friends die left and right, and the ones that aren't dead are just sucking the life out of, our culture, and fucking spitting on the graves of fucking whatever. I don't know. I hope that you can get out of your funk, or whatever it is that led you to this video, if you are watching this. But you know, try to be more self-reliant. Try to find it within yourself to realize that you don't want to do that shit. You don't want that shit in your life. I mean, it's like sure, I have a fascination with blood, but like drawing it out of myself is not the way to satisfy that fascination. You know, I love horror movies and just really like brutal art and stuff like that now. And I'm pretty satisfied. I feel really like I'm in a great place in my life. I can't complain. You know, I I never would have thought 3 years ago that I could sit here and say being sober for 3 years and celibate for two that I would be the happiest that I have ever been in my entire life. But that's the absolute truth. I'm so much happier. I don't feel like I rely on the physical uh, touching of someone else. I don't need that. I need your your essence, your thoughts. I want to be involved in what's going on in your mind. I don't really give a fuck about sexuality anymore. It's like I'm sure that would be great if I could find someone that I related to on that level. But I'm kind of a weird person when it comes to sexuality, and I don't really need it. But you know, 12 steps have not helped me to come to that place in my life, and they have not helped me to become a sober individual. If anything, they hindered me in that process. The 12 steps were a big mind fuck for me. It was like forcing God down my throat, and really the only thing I needed to come to God was to realize that He was already here. So, you know, I'm tired of people telling me that this is the only way to achieve happiness. This is the only way to get out of your rut. This is the only way to be happy. Because it's not. Uh, I'm just sick of it. And I hope that someone will see this video and um, someone will see this video.